Arlynn here. Welcome back to my Country Craft Corner and Arlynn's Travels. How in the world are you guys doing today? It is so good to see you again, and thank you so much for stopping back by to see what I'm up to. And what I'm up to today is I'm going back to our travels after I put up, for those of you on my Arlynn's Travels channel, I took a day to put up some fall decorating that I did. If you'd like to see that, you can head on over to my Arlynn's Country Craft Corner channel and take a peek at how I decorated the outside of our home for fall. And I can sure put a link in the description for that video for you guys if you'd like to go over there and take a peek, and subscribe over there if you'd like, you know. And but anyway, I have been double posting, as you guys have seen, as far as my travels are concerned. It seemed like not a lot of you like to look at it on my Country Craft Corner, but I didn't gain a lot of subscribers over on my Arlynn's Travels. So I put it up on both. You know, I'm still trying to grow both channels, of course. But my Country Craft Corner channel, admittedly, is much larger than my travels because, let's face it, I decorate and craft a lot more than I travel. Anyway, regardless of all that, let me just right up front here take a moment to ask you to subscribe, if you would, to either channel or both. I would really appreciate it. Then hit the notification bell so that you never miss one of my videos or one of my uploads. And for those of you who have been subscribed, please do me a favor and do check your subscription. I've had a couple of you tell me that you have not been getting notifications of my uploads. And then when you do, or when you go in to look at the video, it looks like you've been unsubscribed in some way or another. So if you could please check, I would really appreciate that, you know? So, and make sure that you're still subscribed. And if you're not, resubscribe, please hit the notification bell and then share, hit like and share with your friends and family. Okie dokie. With all that said, in this video today, I think I'm going to try to cover our visit in Skagway, and I'm going to do a little haul of a couple of things that I got from a Christmas shop there in Skagway, and to show you what I picked up for our grandson, who I've already given him that stuff. And I will show you some pictures of our grandson, Maverick. A lot of you on my Country Craft Corner channel have been asking to see some pictures of him. So when I show you his stuff, I'll show you some pictures of our little tyke. We went to visit him last week. Just could hardly wait to go and visit with him, you know. And then I might try to cover Glacier Bay too today. Okie dokie. So let's get started. Let's get started talking about Skagway. Now let me back up for just a second and remind you that we were delayed getting out of port in Vancouver on our very first day, on embarkation day, because we had a starboard side thruster issue. And the result of that was that we lost Icy Strait Point out of our itinerary. We added in a sea day, and we pushed Juneau back a day. Remember how I had said Jaylene's Alaska, bless her heart, was able to reschedule us for the next day. And then Skagway was also pushed back a day. Well, we didn't run into issues because of sweet Jaylene for Juneau, but for Skagway, we did run into issues because we had a rental car reserved for that day. We had rented like a van because Dawn and I both use scooters, and you know, we wanted to take the scooters with us. But regardless of all that, of course, we had to cancel that rental car because we were not going to be there on the day that we originally scheduled it for. And we tried to re-rent another one on the next day, the day that we were now scheduled to be in port. And unfortunately, everything was super duper expensive, and we were just not willing to spend that money to rent a car in Skagway. It was an exorbitant amount of money. So we just decided not to do that. I will tell you though, if you do go to Skagway, I'm going to tout Chilkoot Charters while I'm sitting here. We did not do Chilkoot this year, but one of the big things to do in Skagway is the White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad, which is, it goes up, you know, literally scales up the side of a mountain. The people who forged this train route, I can't even imagine what hardy folks they were, I'm telling you. But it is a beautiful train trip, and you can do an excursion that goes up to the summit or up to Canada and then turns around and comes back, which is all they offered this year. But next year, and we've done this particular excursion that I'm going to mention to you right here twice before with Chilkoot Charters. Princess also does offer this, only they do theirs on a motor coach. Chilkoot offers a smaller bus experience, which is a 24, 25 passenger bus, which is a lot better than a motor coach, in my opinion. You have a wonderful narrated bus driver, which I'm sure Princess does too, but the Chilkoot team is unsurpassed in my book. And you can either go up on the train and then get in their van and go on up into the Yukon. Actually, they pick you up in the van at the ship, take you to where you get on the train. You get on the train, you go up to the summit, and then you go on to, I think it's Fraser. You get off the train and get on their bus, and then they take you on up into and you all can Google these things, but Carcross, Caribou Crossing, Emerald Lake, the Little Desert, oh my goodness, all kinds of lakes that our driver stopped at and let us skip rocks in one. Just fun stuff. Bridal Falls, you know, the iconic Welcome to Alaska sign and Welcome to the Yukon sign that you've seen probably all over the internet. So I highly encourage you to check out Chilkoot Charters. I'll put a link in the description for them. But instead of doing Chilkoot this year, we were going to go ahead and do our own trip up and into the Yukon because we know what's up there. If we wanted to go a little further than Chilkoot took us, we might have been able to do that. But that's why we wanted to rent a car. But of course, we were not able to do that. So what we did is we just tooted around Skagway, which I had not done for several years because I had done other excursions out of Skagway. So it was really nice and I rode my scooter and Don rode his scooter into town, and Barb and Chris walked, you know, and we frequented many of the stores. And, you know, I'm showing you pictures as I always have here. Such quaint stores, you know, there's the Red Onion, the infamous Red Onion, and you can do tours in there. And if you're a drinker, go and do a duck fart or a reindeer fart or these other, I don't know what all they are, but you all could go and do that in there if you want. And, you know, all kinds of really quirky things. Another thing that you'll see in Skagway too is a description, pardon me, a description of what the Canadian Mounties required people to bring up into the Yukon, the border to the Yukon. The first winter, their border was open and people started crossing their border, doing the gold rush and all of that. A lot of people died because the winters are so harsh up in the Yukon. So they started to require that everybody bring a ton of goods with them. And they even gave a list of what they were required to bring. And some of that was 150 pounds of bacon. Can you imagine? 400 pounds of flour, 25 pounds of rolled oats, 125 pounds of beans, cooking supplies, clothing, 3 suits of heavy underwear, 1 heavy Mackinaw coat, 2 pairs of heavy Mackinaw trousers. I guess Mackinaw was, you know, whatever of the day. 1 heavy rubber-lined coat, 1 dozen of heavy wool socks, a half a dozen of heavy wool mittens, 2 heavy overshirts. I mean, can you imagine? Tools and gear. Anyway, I'm showing you a picture of everything, and you can pause your computer and read through it if you want. But these are the things. The Northern Pacific Railroad Company published the Chicago Records Book for Gold Seekers in 1897 and included the following supply list. And from what I've heard, you weren't allowed to cross the border until you had your 1 ton of goods with you. And it would take upwards of 3 trips to get all this stuff up to the border, and 3 months per trip. So these people had to have been the hardiest folks known to man, or were really hungry for gold. I'm telling you, it was pretty crazy. But Skagway is a very quaint town. Not very many people live in Skagway. So, but I wanted to show you here, Maverick. here's our grandson, Maverick. This was he and I the other day, last Thursday after we got home. He is a precious, precious little baby, the most cuddly little tyke known to man, I'm telling you. So we brought him a couple of t-shirts that were glow-in-the-dark t-shirts, one with a wolf that says Alaska on it, and one with a grizzly bear. And as I said, both are supposed to be, glow-in-the-dark t-shirts. And then we did get him a little otter, a little stuffed otter, which he loved. He loved that little otter. And we got him a whale. So he loved all his little gifts. Barb and Dawn gave him a little tic-tac-toe puzzle. He loved that. Barb, by the way, if you're watching, he played with that thing for a long, long time. And he didn't know about tic-tac-toe. Of course, he's only 2. But he would put he would put all the moose together and he would put all the bears together. It was a little tic-tac-toe with moose and bear pieces that Barb and Dawn gave for me to give to Maverick. So sweet. So he loved that. So, but then after, I'm glad I was able to share some pictures with those of you on my travels who may not have known that we have a grandson. And for those of you on my Country Craft Corner, you've been begging me, we need a Maverick update. So there you go. We saw him, I think it was last Thursday. Oh my goodness. But running to Chris to say hello. And it was amazing. It was an amazing little visit. Boy, did we miss him. Woo, boy. But anyway, also on that day, we went into one of the shops I wanted to go into. Somebody had told me about it in one of the Facebook forums, was a Christmas shop that they had. Now, this was not like a Christmas mouse, for instance, that you would see in Williamsburg. Or it wasn't like a big Christmas store or even a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's or something like that with, ornaments after ornaments after ornaments, and ribbon and this and that and the other thing, or decor. This wasn't like that. This was a shop that celebrated local artisans and, gave you few choices, but superb choices. So I'm going to show you the 2 things that I picked out. Now, for those of you who don't know on my travels too, I am a decorator and a crafter. And I have a blue and white Christmas tree. My Christmas tree is one of them that I put out in a dining room. Please follow me on Arlynn's Country Craft Corner. I'm getting ready to start decorating for Christmas. Yes, after Halloween. I have to start early because I need to get everything in. Plus, I've got the whole family coming here 2 weeks before Christmas, so I really got to get myself in gear this year. Oh my goodness. Anyway, I have a bay window off of my living room, and I put that side of my house, the front of my house, I do in blue and white. This side of the house I do in traditional red, gold, and white. So I do split the colors just because I like to decorate with all of them. They're so pretty. So this first thing that I got to go on, and here's my tree that I'm talking about. And this is what I got to go on that tree. And it is a beautiful whale tail. Alaska hand painted. Art by Cindy Wortman Zeal. AlaskaBalls.com. Look at this. Is that not beautiful? Look, look, look. Got the mountains. That's just what it looks like too in Auk Bay there in Juneau. Absolutely beautiful. Isn't that pretty? So I think that will be just stunning on that blue and white tree. So, so pretty. So I got that. And this was it was 30, oh my goodness, it was either $35 or $37, you guys. So, it was not cheap, but I wanted a keepsake. And that's literally, other than the coats and stuff that we got online or on board the ship, this is literally the only thing, 2 things that this and the other thing I'm fixing to show you that I bought, for souvenirs this time. So this was one. And then the other thing, I just couldn't resist this fella. I can't remember how much he cost, to be honest. It was over $20. Might have been over $30. I can't remember how much he cost. But look at this little Santa Claus with his mucklucks. Isn't he cute? Look at him, and he's very poseable. Apparently you can pose him and get him to ski and, all kinds of good stuff like that. He's so cute. You can sit him down. Apparently they were saying that you could do all kinds of things with him. But look at his basket of berries and pine cones and part of a pine, and he is trekking through the woods with his mucklucks and his snowshoes. So cute. So for those of you who've been following me know that I have been collecting Santa Clauses. I absolutely love Santa Clauses. So he is one that I will add to my collection this year. Is he cute? So I got him in, and this was in the Christmas shop. I don't know whether I have a picture of it or not. If I do, I'll show you of this shop. It's right down the main street, I believe, of Skagway. It wasn't hard to find. Well, Skagway's not very big. Nothing is hard to find in Skagway. And we bought Mav stuff just in one of the, the t-shirt shops there that they have. There are many. So, but that's what I got from Skagway. And that's all we did was on our day in Skagway. We ended up going back to the ship. We were out there probably a few hours, I would say. And I wanted to say, those of you who stopped me and introduced yourself to me that day, one in the Red Onion, or the folks in the Red Onion and the folks just on the street when I was eating my ice cream there. It was so nice to meet you guys. Thank you for coming up and introducing yourself to me. It was so good to meet you and to see you. And, I'm sorry I had my mouth full with the ice cream there. But, that was the real me. What can I say? But thank y'all so much for coming up and tapping me and saying, hey, Arlynn, it was, it was so nice to meet you. So thank you so much. Okay, I have absolutely no memory of what we had for dinner that night. I'm sure we ate in the main dining room, and I have no memory of that. So I'm not even going to talk about that. We just went on the ship. I'm sure we went to dinner, and who knows what we did. We might have gone to a show, or Dawn, Chris, Barbara, and myself do like to play cards. So we might have done that. We did... with Patty and Mike, we did sit in leaves one night. This might have been that night too. We sat in leaves and played Trivial Pursuit. They had a Trivial Pursuit game there, and we just read. We didn't play the game, but we just read trivia to one another. And Patty is phenomenal. Chris is pretty good. Barbara's fantastic. I'm not bad, but Patty is like the best of the best. I mean, she just has a wealth of all of these facts in her mind. So. Okay, so then, whatever time we went to bed, we went to bed. The next morning, we woke up very early because we wanted to be up early by the time we got to the mouth of Glacier Bay. Okay, so the next day was Glacier Bay Day, and it is arguably my favorite day on any Alaska itinerary because I just think Glacier Bay is a soul-wrenching, soul-filling, soul-cleansing place. And if there's ever a place on this earth that was touched by God, it is Glacier Bay. It is pristine. It is beautiful. It is quiet. It is serene. It is amazing. It is an amazing place. From the mouth of Glacier Bay all the way back to where we saw Marjorie Glacier and the Grand Pacific Glacier, everything in between. It is beautiful. What they'll do first thing in the morning is they bring a national park boat over to the ship with park rangers on that boat, and they climb onto the ship, much like the pilots do, When we get in local waters, they bring on a pilot. Same thing with the park rangers, only they come on to commentate all day long. And you could hear them through your stateroom TV. And again, they encouraged us to keep his sliding glass doors open, which is totally different from everything I've ever heard on any Alaska cruise any cruise that we've been on. They always say, keep your balcony door shut, keep your balcony door shut. This time they did encourage us to leave it open so that we could listen to the commentary over the TV, and it's always on the Bridge Cam channel, whatever channel that is. And you can find that on your smart TV. We could also hear it on the balcony, but I'll tell you the truth, when we were out on the balcony, we needed to shut the door, or if we were inside, we needed to shut the balcony door. So we ended up keeping the balcony door shut because there was a delay in them talking. You could hear them on the balcony first, and then about 4 words later, you started hearing them on the TV. So it was like, blah, 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 blah. It was like, oh, shut the door. I can't understand what they're saying, you know. So they come on and they commentate through on the bridge. They walk around the upper decks. They also give talks throughout the day in the Princess Theater. They also run a Junior Ranger program for the kids on board so they can earn their Junior Ranger badge. And they also have a table set up. It was set up in the 1-5, which is the, this time, which is the aft, 1-5 aft, which is way up on the top deck. And they had a table set up and they had books laid out. And I also got Mav this Ho Bear book. Got him that. Chris actually picked that up for him from them. And Chris got himself a hat, a National Geographic hat. There was a representative of National Geographic there to talk, answer questions. They had a whiteboard with, you know, we're going to pass Lamplugh Glacier at this time. We're going to pass Reed Glacier at this time. We're going to pass, and Reed Glacier and Lamplugh Glacier are 2 smaller glaciers. Glaciers are huge. They're massive, all of them. But these 2 are compared to the 2 we were going to see later in the day, or that you would see. I'll explain. But they're beautiful glaciers, both of them. So they let us know what time. Also, Johns Hopkins Glacier. We got to get a little closer to Johns Hopkins Glacier, and I'll explain that. But anyway, we started sailing in there, and again, it was just stunning. And still some snow-capped mountains, but mostly when you look at the mountains, and if you see snow in August and September, it's either a little bit of snow that's fallen on them, or it could be hanging glaciers. There are such things as hanging glaciers. If you look up and you see them kind of carving out part of a mountain, that is a hanging glacier. The glaciers, Reed Glacier, Lamplugh Glacier, Marjorie Glacier, Grand Pacific Glacier, those glaciers are all tidewater glaciers. Those glaciers flow down to the water, hence called tidewater glaciers. So, but, you know, again, you know, we have Barb and Dawn came over to our balcony, and what happens is the port side, we were on the port side, so the ship will sail in with the port side. You can see something out both sides of the ship the entire day, you know, but the port side is the first side. Here is Barb, and she is demonstrating how one should layer up on Glacier Bay Day. She's got a scarf, she's got a shirt underneath, and then a scarf, and then her
shirts
vest,
underneath.
2 shirts underneath.
Shirt and a 3/4 length t-shirt.
Yes, and a heavy scarf and gloves where she can cover up her little hands if necessary, but she has her fingers free to take pictures if she wants.
And I am never cold.
No, she's never cold. In fact, she wears like tank tops when I'm in a sweater. I mean, that shows you how cold it is here. It is very, very cold, and she's got her sneakers on. And then we're coming up on the Grand Pacific Glacier, which is right there. It is called the Dirty Glacier. And then right to the left, you're just beginning to see the edge of Marjorie Glacier, which is the showstopper for today. It's absolutely beautiful. Sorry for the wind. You can see the ice pellets or icebergs actually in the water. That is the naturalist, or that is the National Park Ranger, one of them that we have on board today with us. They came on at Bartlett Cove, which is where the ranger station is. I think we have 3 on board today. One that is running the Junior Rangers program, where the kids on board, we've only seen like 3, can go through little steps to get their Junior Ranger patch. And then they have a National Geographic person on too with them today, who is selling stuff up at the 1-5, which is the lounge up on the way tippy top deck 15. And we got a book for little Mav, our grandson Maverick, from there, and Chris got a hat. And yeah, it's quite the day here. Glacier Bay Day. Chris and I will not do an Alaska cruise without Glacier Bay being on the itinerary. We just can't do it. We just can't bring ourselves to come up here all this way and not, come to Glacier Bay. It's so quenching for me, you guys. All right, I'll be back. But the port side is the first side that'll come up to Marjorie. You'll be able to see Marjorie Glacier and the Grand Pacific Glacier when they come into gear. The Grand Pacific Glacier sits right at the end, and it is called the Dirty Glacier. Although when you see my picture today, you're not going to believe that it's called the Dirty Glacier, but usually you can't see what's behind the face of the glacier, and the face of the glacier, as you can see, is very dirty. And that's, somebody asked me yesterday in a Facebook group if that was due to pollution. It is not due to pollution. It is due to the rocks and the dirt and everything that the glacier has picked up as it's flown for hundreds of years, literally hundreds of years. And the ice at the terminus, at the face of these glaciers can be upwards of 500 years old, you guys. These are very old glaciers. Anyway, so Grand Pacific Glacier is in front of you, and then Marjorie Glacier will be to the left of, as you're looking at the Grand Pacific, to the left. So port side, which is the left side, port left, starboard right. Port has 4 letters, so does left, L-E-F-T, P-O-R-T. Always know that the port is on the left side. And starboard, we had a naturalist one time that every time he said, oh, look at the whale, it's the starboard right side. It's off of the starboard right side. Look at the otter, it's off of the starboard right side. Every time he said starboard, he said right. So that's ingrained in my head. Starboard right, starboard right, starboard right. And left is port. Anyway, the ship will come up and you'll be able to look out and see the whole left side of the ship. We'll be able to see Marjorie Glacier. And this day, we could see up and behind Marjorie Glacier, and it was stunning. It did not calve for us on this day. It did not calve for us, which it always has in the past, and that's not saying one thing or another. It's just didn't calve in the 30 minutes or an hour that we were there looking at it. That's nothing unusual. It's not unusual or usual. It's just, it calves when it calves, So for the first half hour, the captain will sit there for about a half an hour and let the left or port side look, and then he'll pivot the ship around. And when the ship started pivoting around, Barb and I took off, and we went up and to the upper deck. And here's where this picture was taken by one of the Princess staff, and Barb bought this picture for us. Thank you, Barb. Thank you so much. I cherish this picture. I just love it. You can see Marjorie Glacier behind us, and shining beautifully, and look at the blue sky and the beautiful clouds above us. I mean, it was gorgeous, breathtakingly gorgeous. And again, the size, and I'm going to show you a picture here in a minute to give you a good representation of how big these glaciers are. Marjorie Glacier, I believe, is 200. Oh, I don't have her stats. I'll put it here. How high it soars out of the water, and how many feet soar out of the water, and how many feet soar under the water. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's just crazy. I remember one time I had a picture with kayakers in front of it. The kayakers looked about this big compared to this big wall of ice behind them. I'm not even kidding you guys. These glaciers are massive. Some of them are receding. Some of them are advancing. I'm not going to have a discussion, nor would I would appreciate it if we did not have a discussion. I'm not going to global warming. I'm not going to anything like that. I'm going to things that have been touched by God and are beautiful to the eye. No matter what they're doing, they're absolutely gorgeous. And you don't have to rush up there and go see it next year or it'll be gone. Trust me, these are massive, massive glaciers. Marjorie Glacier flows for 21 miles, you guys. 21 miles. And it's 1 mile to 1.5 miles wide at its face. It's massive. And like I said, whatever I typed up there, tall. I mean, tall is a 20-story building, It's crazy. So anyway, so we turned and pivoted back, and on our way out, we were able to see Reed Glacier. I can't remember if we saw Reed coming in or going out, but we saw Lamplugh Glacier, which I always think of Lamplugh Glacier as being one of the smaller glaciers that we've seen in Alaska, until I looked up its stats yesterday, because Chris said, hey, Arlynn, When you pull that picture up, take a look at the little boat in front of it. Well, it was I don't know how big the boat was, to be honest. I really don't know. I would say maybe a 25-foot boat in front of Lamplugh that I always thought was one of the smaller glaciers. Well, I'm a ding-dong. That boat looks about as big as a minute. I mean, it looks teeny tiny compared to this massive glacier soaring up. Now, it only flows for 8 miles. So in that, compared to Marjorie, in that way, as long as it flows, it is smaller than Marjorie. And it's shorter than Marjorie. Lamplugh Glacier is 160 feet tall, soaring out of the water, 160 feet tall. And it's about as tall as a 15-story building. It is 3/4 of a mile wide, and it's 8 miles long. And I compared it to Marjorie, that is 21 miles long and a mile or so wide, and Hubbard Glacier, that we didn't see this time, but we'll see next year, that flows for 76 miles and is 7 miles wide and something like 350 feet out of the water and 250 feet under the water. It's crazy big. So, and that one is advancing and very stable and advancing and getting thicker and thicker and thicker every year. So let me look at my pictures here, make sure that I'm catching every bit of information. We kept having one of these little ducks, and Barb has a birder who's a friend who gave it a name, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was a cute little duck, and it kept landing on our balcony. So we would tiptoe back into our room and let it just lay out there. It just needed a break, I guess, bless its little heart. So it kept coming back. And otters, as we were entering the bay, the sea otters, you guys, the sea otters, otter after otter after otter, some closer to the ship, some further away, so hard to catch on camera because they're moving so fast. They just go with the flow of the water, and they're just flying, and they lay on their backs. And did you know that a sea otter is never dry in its whole life? It spends its entire life in the water. And they have an insulating coat, and we learned all about that on a trip to Sitka, on our excursion in Sitka. This day was, again, amazing. Again, one of my very favorite days. The reflections on this day back in Marjorie were absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. It is an amazing place that I highly encourage everyone to go to if you ever get the chance. If you ever get the chance. Go to Alaska and then make sure Glacier Bay is on your itinerary. On our way out, we were able to stop and look at what I think is one of the prettiest glaciers in Glacier Bay, and that is Johns Hopkins Glacier. And normally you're not allowed to go down into the inlet. We did go down a little bit into the inlet. I think we were still 5 or 6 miles away from it, but we were able to go down a little bit. But normally cruise ships are not allowed, or really nobody is allowed back into Johns Hopkins Glacier, because that's where the seals have their pups, and that's where they rear their pups, on the calved ice off of the glacier. And that's where they nurse their pups and teach them and all of that stuff. And they do that all through the spring and summer. So the national park will not allow boats back there, thank goodness. And they let those seals, they let them be, and let them raise their young. And then they leave about the first or second week of September. And we were there, I think the 18th or 19th of September. So, and they were gone by the time we went. So, But the mountains up behind Johns Hopkins is just stunning, just beautiful. It is such a picturesque place. So beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Well, everything is beautiful. So, but anyway, that's our Glacier Bay day. And I don't want to go any further today. We still have more. We have Sitka and Endicott Arm and Ketchikan and Prince Rupert, which we didn't do anything at, Victoria, and I can keep going here for a little while, which I will do through this week. I think I will, I'll try to finish up as best I can, probably this week with my travel videos, you guys. And I am going to try to do a home tour for those of you on my Country Craft Corner channel, and any of you here on my Travels channel too would like to see a fall home tour. Go and subscribe over there at Arlynn's Country Craft Corner, and I am going to try to get a fall home tour up this week as well. So busy girl over here for sure, as usual. You know, as I said, I have this week off of jury duty. I don't know what next week will bring, so I'm going to try to get as much done as I can. And, you know, I start decorating for Christmas and right after Halloween, you guys, because of my channel. And as I said, I've got people coming to visit earlier in the month of December this year. And it takes me every bit of from Halloween to, sometimes I get it done by Thanksgiving. Sometimes I have to wait to do parts of the front of the rooms. And we always decorate our big Christmas tree in the family room on Thanksgiving evening with the whole family, you know. So anyway, we got a lot coming up. You guys. So much fun on my Country Craft Corner channel, and I will try to keep my, you know, my travels going. Then we will be traveling again over the new year, so there'll be not too much of a lull this time. And then we are going back to Alaska next summer, and I've already made reservations with Jaylene again. So I cannot wait to return to Alaska. So then after that, we're doing Canada and New England next fall. So, oh boy, we've just got lots of travels coming up too. So I'm so grateful that we're back to traveling. And oh my goodness, I'm so fortunate at 60, will be 61 in a couple of days, to be able to still have my health and still be able to travel and enjoy our friends and enjoy our family when it comes to holidays and decorating and all of that stuff. I feel so very fortunate that at my age I can still do and enjoy. And thank you guys for coming along with me. Thank you so much for coming along with me. I'm happy to share, and you guys are so sweet. I have the sweetest subscribers on the planet. Thank you so much for all of your sweet comments. I try to get back. If I don't, you'll know when you see my heart show up that I've read, at the very least, read and taken in your comment and taken it to my heart of hearts. And I do try to answer questions if I can, you know. So please know I'm doing my very best. I'm doing my very best over here. But anyway, with all of that said, I could ramble on here all day, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna hush now and go into my final words and say thank y'all so much for stopping in here today. Again, if you would please subscribe, I would appreciate it, and hit that bell and share with your friends and family and hit the like. Thank y'all so much in advance. And on a serious note, for those of you who may be struggling or suffering with a catastrophic illness or chronic pain, I hope that you have someone there with you, taking care of you, helping you get through each day, making the very, very best out of each day. I hope there's nothing weighing on your minds or your hearts, pulling your attention away from where you want it to be or from where it should be. I love y'all to bits, hugs all around, and I keep you in my thoughts and my prayers every single day. And with all that said, I'll just say, until next time, y'all take good care. Bye-bye.